Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with potato mustard green salad. That's right, I love potato salads with mustard dressings, so I figured, hey, it's gotta be good with greens in there that taste like mustard also. So that's what we're gonna do. This is very easy, very healthy, except for the mayonnaise, and very unusual, which is always a good thing around grilling season because you get tired of the same side dishes, okay? So here we go. We're going to start by peeling some potatoes. I'm using my favorite potato salad potato, the Yukon Gold. So I'm going to peel them, cut those in half. I got a couple pounds. This will work with russet. I'm not a big fan of the red potato, but if you like it, use that. You are the boss of your tuber selection. As you saw, we added salt to the water. Always boil your potatoes in salted water. You know that. We're going to put that on high heat. We're going to bring that to a simmer. And while we're waiting, I peeled some garlic. I like to boil some garlic right with the potatoes, and then I'll just add that into the salad. A very subtle yet delicious garlic flavor. And when that comes up to a boil, I'm going to lower the heat. And I'm just going to let that simmer for about, 20, 25 minutes until they're just barely tender. Do not overcook these. They should not be falling apart. They shouldn't be too firm either, but try not to let them get waterlogged. When they're done, drain them very, very, very well and let them cool down to room temperature. Don't refrigerate them. Just leave them out for about a half hour while we do the rest of our prep. So first up, we're going to do the dressing. Now, of course, the classic dilemma is whether to go with a mayonnaise-based dressing or an oil and vinegar-based. I'm going to do both here. I'm going to start with mayonnaise. I'm going to add some white wine vinegar to that and a nice splash of olive oil. I'm going to heat that up just a hair with some red chilies. You could use any hot substance you want. Also going to sprinkle in a little bit of salt and pepper. Final seasoning is done at the end. I know I'm going to need some, but don't put too much. Just a little at this point. Get it started, and we'll adjust later. All right? So once everything's in, we're going to whisk that together. Because of the mayonnaise, that's going to emulsify very easily. So you don't need to be drizzling in oil or anything like that. Just dump it all in, whisk it up, and set it aside. Now, some people like to put pickle relish in potato salads. I like that once in a while, but sometimes it gets too sweet. So here I'm going to take some cornichon, which is just little baby pickles, French, I believe, and I'm going to chop those up, all right, just like that. You could use dill pickles, or if you like things on the sweet side, use relish. So that's prepped, and then it's on to the star of the show, mustard greens. One of the more beautiful greens we have at our disposal. And mustard green is not the leaf of a mustard plant. It's just a regular green, I believe broccoli cabbage family, if I'm not mistaken. But it does have a very strong mustard flavor. If you see like a stem, or sometimes they call that the rib, that kind of center spine that goes up the leaf, you could just tear that out. That's a little tough. So mostly we just want that thin, curly leaf part. And these are very easy to chop. Just kind of roll them up, slice it like that, and give it a chop. All right, not too fine, not too big, just do it perfect. All right, and we're going to set that aside. And by the time you've made your dressing and done your pickles and chopped your mustard, your potatoes should be just about room temperature, which mine were. I'm going to take those potatoes and with a paring knife, I'm just going to cut chunks into a bowl. Of course, this is going to break up a little more as we mix the dressing, so you don't need to go too small at this point. You can always make it smaller. You can't put it back together. And by the way, that's how my grandmother cut everything. I never saw her use a cutting board in my life. She held everything in one hand and cut it with the other. So that's for you, Genevieve. And once your potatoes are all chunked up, it's time to assemble. We're going to go ahead and dump in the cornichon or pickles or relish or whatever you're using. I'm going to dump in my chopped mustard greens. I'm going to drizzle in my dressing, and we're going to give that a toss. And we're not going to do any tasting or adjusting yet because this needs to sit in the refrigerator for 1 hour to soak everything up so that we can really tell and adjust properly. Sometimes if you taste salads right after you mix them, they just aren't going to taste like they are when you serve them, and then you end up seasoning them incorrectly. So just cover it, put it in the fridge for an hour. Hour later, pull it out, unwrap, and then we'll make decisions. First of which, do we need more mayonnaise? Do we need another splash of vinegar and oil? All right, mine's looking perfect. But if yours seems dry, don't be afraid to make a little more dressing and throw it in. Not a problem. So we're going to take a fork, we're going to taste this, and this is where you're going to adjust your salt and pepper. All right, mine needed a little bit, so I'm going to add a little bit. I'm going to give that a final mix. Go ahead and throw that in a bowl. I suggest blue. Maybe garnish with a little more of that mustard green. It's a very pretty color and texture, but not too much, because it is a very intense taste. It's sharp, it's spicy, it's bitter, and because of those attributes, I think it's perfect in a potato salad like this. So this is going to raise a few eyebrows, but who cares? Your job is to make the potato salad, not to worry about what happens to people's eyebrows. All right? So let me give this a try. And as predicted, it was fantastic. a little sharpness and crunch from the pickles, a little touch of garlic, and then you get that punch of mustard. It's really, really cool. Almost has like a horseradish sort of feel in your mouth. As my friend Ralph once said, tastes like burning. So that's a bit of an exaggeration. It doesn't really burn, but it does have a very subtle heat that's really, really nice. So I really hope you give this a try. Head over to foodwishes.com for all the ingredient amounts and more information as usual. And as always, enjoy